What up, Dimitri? It's me, Shelby, back again. Here to just go over the exam with you. I know it's been kind of hard to catch up with everybody, so that's the purpose of me doing this video, so I can help you out via video. So also this other guy I'm trying to help out in class. His name is Orlandis, and I'm just gonna go over the terms. I'm gonna send another video because this will take a long time to try to cram half the semester in a short amount of time. So I'm gonna just try to go over the terms each, try to be more in depth and in detail with them as much as I can. I don't want to occupy too much time, so I'm gonna talk about some of the terms, and then I'm gonna do the other half of the terms probably tonight, or I'll send them to you guys tomorrow. And also I'm going to send you a copy of the terms. I'm going to email you that, as well as a rough draft of each of the 4 questions of the exams, so you'll know what to write and know what terms to put in when you write your exam, your essay for the exam. This is the study guide. Basically what she's looking for is the short answer, multiple choice. The short answer is going to be like, she's going to ask a question. You may have to put like the term in it, or a true or false question or something like that, or one of those ABC things. That's the multiple choice. The identification is 9 terms. All you need to do is answer 5 of them. She has the terms right here. You need to. She's going to have 5 of these terms that you would need to give a brief definition for. So that's why you want to use your little index card. So you write that. Try to put all these terms on that index card and define them. So when she does ask for the 5 terms, you will know what it is, because all the terms are defined on your index card. You can just look to your index card and be like, oh, this is what this means. Write it down. And then your essay. There's 4 questions, and depending on the essay you write about, you want to write the terms, have enough terms in here where she knows that you get what, when she asks the question, you're answering it. You know what I'm saying? Your essay, she knows that you know what you're talking about. So that's pretty much what she's looking for. And 2 other things. You want to stay away from going online using the internet. Do not do that. In terms of like, you can go in there and look at stuff in terms of like to know what she's kind of getting at, but do not take stuff from the internet and put it in your essay, because she's going to catch it. Totally going to catch it, and you'll get in trouble. I don't want that to happen to you or Orlandis. So just be careful, and I'm going to show you what she's looking for. She basically wants to go over stuff that she went over in class. So that's what you want to write your essay on. So don't go online. Use the PowerPoints that she has in D2L. So go there. They're very important. You need to be there. That's where the terms are at. That's where you'll get everything. You need to read the PowerPoints that she has set up there. And with that, if you have any questions, just hit me up, okay? You and Orlandis can hit me up. I'm gonna go over the key terms. I'm only gonna do half of them, not even half. I'm gonna do some of them, and then I'm gonna do the other half and send it to you guys tonight or tomorrow. And my voice is parched, so I see why Professor Hernandez always drinks her water, because your throat hurts talking for so much. Okay, well, the first term is national review. By the way, the study advice, read that bottom part. When you write your essay or write your identification terms, the way she wants to define it, you want to put the who, what, where, when, how, and why it is significant. So who, what, where, when, how, and why it is significant. Very important. She's going to be looking for that too, and I'm going to go into that. The first term is national review. National review is a term, so you want to write this down. I'm going to send it to you, in fact. I'm going to send it to you. But the National Review was founded in 1955 by William F. Buckley. William F. as in Frank Buckley. 1955. It's a conservative magazine. It's a conservative magazine that is moderate in its thinking. That's all you need to put. That's pretty much it. That William F. Buckley founded the magazine in 1955, and it's a conservative magazine that is moderate. It put this too. It represented the intellectual part of the conservative movement. That's all you need to put. The second term is John Birch Society. John Birch Society is an organization like the National Review. It is conservative. They're both conservative, but the John Birch Society, they were extremely right wing. They are what you would call the Tea Party of today. The Tea Party, everybody knows they're radical, they're crazy. This was the John Birch Society. It was founded in 1958. So again, the year 1958. They were against communism, so they were anti-communist. They were against nuclear disarmament, meaning they're pro-military. They were against civil rights. They were against a lot of things. They didn't like Eisenhower. They didn't like John F. Kennedy, and they didn't like LBJ. They were very, very right wing. And of course, a lot of Americans didn't like this thinking by them. They're just too extreme. They're too radical. So that's all you pretty much want to put with the John Birch Society. The John Birch Society was extremely right-wing organization, founded in 1958. They were anti-communist. They were against civil rights, and they took digs at presidents like Eisenhower, Kennedy, and LBJ. And then the Young Americans for Freedom was founded in 1960. That's another term. Young Americans for Freedom. They were founded in 1960 at William F. Buckley's estate in Sharon, Connecticut. That's all you need to put for them. But if you want to get more into detail, there are a bunch of young conservatives who met to organize and form their organization. The purpose of them was to get together, form this organization to promote conservative principles. That's what the Young Americans for Freedom were. They were like the Republican answer to SDS. SDS were college kids that were liberal. SDS is still around. Even UWM has a chapter of SDS, but they are answer to SDS. But so here's how you would define Young Americans for Freedom. They formed in 1960 at William F. Buckley's home in Sharon, Connecticut, and they met and organized at his home to promote conservative philosophies to the youth or to the mass of people. The next term is the Sharon Statement. The Sharon Statement is something that the Young Americans for Freedom came up with at William F. Buckley's house. And so this is how you would define the Sharon Statement. Sharon Statement is a document by the Young Americans for Freedom, which defended conservative principles. They defended Christian values. They were free market economics. They wanted free market economics. They were for personal liberties. And most important, they were for small government. Small government. So that's something you want to put in. This is also a response to SDS's Port Huron statement. So when you're writing your essay, you might want to point that out. And I'm going to send you a note of this. Okay, so because this is my notes that I've typed up, and I'm going to send it to you guys. Barry Goldwater, again, that's a term. That's a term on her guide sheet here. Basically, he was a senator from Arizona, a Republican senator from Arizona. He was a Republican senator from Arizona. He's considered to be one of the founders of conservatism. So put that down, that he is a Republican senator from the state of Arizona, and he's considered to be one of the founders of conservatism. Um, he ran for president in the 1964 election against Lyndon B. Johnson and lost to Lyndon B. Johnson. That's all you need to put. Okay, so that's pretty much it. But note that he is one of the founders of conservatism. He's still talked about today amongst conservatives. Ronald Reagan. Now, this is again, like I said earlier, my voice is parched, so please excuse me. You look up Ronald Reagan online, this is what you're going to get. He was president 1984, from 1980 to 1984, and from 1984 to 1988, Ronald Reagan was president. They're going to be talking about a whole bunch of other stuff that he did during his presidency. But Professor Hernandez is not talking about that. So what you're going to have is a bunch of kids in the class putting that he was president and all this other stuff. And see, they're going to, and even though that's true, they're going to get it wrong because he wasn't president during his time in the 1960s. Our class is about the 1960s decade. Ronald Reagan was not president. So be very careful doing, when you define who Ronald Reagan was. This is what you should put. If she has Ronald Reagan as a term to identify, you need to put this, and only this. Ronald Reagan was an up-and-coming supporter of Barry Goldwater. He spoke at the Republican National Convention and got tons of support from conservatives after his speech. That's all you need to put. He too was another founder of conservatism, okay, along with Barry Goldwater. So that's all you need to put for Ronald Reagan. Do not put he was president because he wasn't president during the 1960s. He was just a supporter of Barry Goldwater's, a strong supporter of Barry Goldwater, and he pushed a lot of conservative principles. Again, and I give you a quick example right quick. Remember all that time in the 60s where she was telling us that people were rioting all over the place? Ronald Reagan was against that. Like, why are you guys rioting? Why are you rioting? You causing destruction. You're acting like savages. There's a better way to get your point across than to sit there and destroy everything. That's where Ronald Reagan was coming from. And a lot of people resonated with that. So when you define him, put up-and-coming supporter of Barry Goldwater's. He spoke at the Republican National Convention and got tons of support from conservatives after his speech. He was pushing conservative principles. That's all you need to put for Ronald Reagan. Do not put he was president. Do not put anything that has to do with his presidency, because you would get it wrong in the exam, and I guarantee you a lot of students are going to do that. And that's stupid. Another term is Dixiecrats. And this is what Dixiecrat is. A Dixiecrat. Basically, these were people who were Democrats in the South. So Dixiecrats are Southern Democrats. They had issues with the Civil Rights Acts and stuff like that in 1948. And because of that, there's tension amongst Democrats in the South. They had issues with President Truman and the federal government always pushing these civil rights issues, because you have to remember, the South was very segregated. The South was, obviously didn't get along with blacks. They were very discriminatory down there towards blacks. Both Republicans and Democrats did not like black people down the South. They didn't want to integrate schools, nothing. So you have the federal government doing all this civil rights stuff. It's turning Southern Democrats off. And so the Southern Democrats start to break up from the Democratic Party and become their own party, like an independent type party. A lot of them eventually went to the Republican Party, like today, but at this point they were still like independent, didn't really want to be associated with the Democratic Party anymore, because Harry Truman was a Democrat. Eisenhower was a Republican, but he was still pushing the civil rights issues. And John F. Kennedy was a Democrat. Lyndon B. Johnson was a Democrat, trying to push the civil rights stuff. So the Southern Democrats were breaking away from that. So if you have any questions about the Dixiecrats, let me know. Okay. George Wallace is another term. And I just got through talking about the Dixiecrats and the Southern Democrats. George Wallace is a Southern Democrat. And he's case in point. Again, when you go online, do not look up George Wallace online, because it's going to end up happening. You're going to see that he was governor of Alabama. And she's not really looking for that. It's true that he was governor of Alabama, but if you're going to mention that he was governor of Alabama, it has to flow with what she went over in class. So that stuff online, you really shouldn't pay no attention to it, because if it's not what she went over in class, you can tell that you went online and typed some stuff up and you're going to fail. So this is what you should put. George Wallace was instrumental in the Southern strategy. He was a Democrat from the South and decided to run for president against Lyndon B. Johnson and Richard Nixon as an independent representing the American Independent Party. He was against civil rights and ran on that and was appealing to the South. He also ran on limited government, state rights, law and order, private property. This appealed to Northerners, which is why he was here in Wisconsin. He was in Indiana. He was in Maryland, because a lot of the white working class in the North was resonating with his message. He used a lot of racially coded messages and towards black people, but he was resonating with people outside of the South. So now they didn't like his racist views, but they liked the other stuff he was saying about limited government, small government, law and order, etc. So that's what you need to be putting when you define George Wallace. Again, just say this: he was instrumental behind the Southern strategy. He was a Democrat from the South and decided to run for president against Lyndon B. Johnson and Richard Nixon as an independent representing the American Independent Party. That's really what you need to put. That's it. And you'll get that right. The Southern strategy is another term. That's the next one. The Southern strategy is this. And I would use George Wallace when you define it. But the Southern strategy is basically what George Wallace was doing. You preach these anti-civil rights messages in the South, in addition to limited government and state rights. A lot of people supported that in the South. That's what they were for. And they were against anti-civil rights. They were anti-civil rights. So the South resonated with that. So what George Wallace wanted to do to see if this would work outside of the South. That's the Southern strategy. He was anti-government, anti-civil rights. He was for small government, law and order. This appealed to the South, and it worked because it broke up the Democratic Party. So George Wallace wanted to see if this would work outside of the South, which is why he was in Wisconsin. That's called the Southern strategy. And then Richard Nixon, seeing that Wallace is getting all this attention and getting support, he stole Wallace's message and used it for his own and tried to apply it to everywhere else. That's the Southern strategy. Okay, and I'm going to send you a copy because these are my notes I'm reading from. What's next here? The silent majority. The silent majority is this. How do I put this? Remember in class, this is the white working class. These are the people, the silent majority are people who are not out there rioting, who are not out there causing all kind of fuss, who's not out there protesting against the war. These are everyday average people, and they're white. They're white working class people who are your next door neighbor, or just sitting at home looking at TV, going to work every day. That's the silent majority. They're not out there protesting. So Richard Nixon and George Wallace is talking to them. and they are getting support. People are responding to them. The silent majority is pretty much backing Wallace's message and Nixon's message against the protesters. That's the silent majority. Earl Warren. Earl Warren is another term. I don't know if this is going to be on the test or not. It may be. But he was basically a Supreme Court justice back in the 40s or 50s. And Lyndon B. Johnson reappointed him again. And Earl Warren is known for pushing a lot of civil rights stuff back in the 50s. You know your Miranda rights. When the police arrest somebody, it's like you have the right to remain silent. Anything can be used against you in the court of law, whatever. That's the Miranda right. Earl Warren is behind that. Now that's law, throughout the nation. So Nixon and Wallace see that as big government. See him as an activist judge. He's a liberal judge, and he's the problem. People like him is the problem. So that's who Earl Warren is. Tricky Dick. That is Richard Nixon. The Democrats gave him that name because of this speech he gave called the Checkered Speech. I put a YouTube link on my notes. I'm going to send you guys so you can check that speech out. But basically, this is what it is. Richard Nixon is a typical politician who will use anything to get ahead, to get power or whatever. So when he did the TV ad, and a lot of politicians are doing this today, making TV ads. Barack Obama did it. Mitt Romney did it. They put out these ads to make it seem like, hey, we need to come together. I can do this for you. Richard Nixon did the same thing. Now, basically, everybody knows, if you're into politics, that he's sitting up there front. In the Checkered Speech, he talked about we need to put together, stop trying to attack me. Why are you attacking me personally? All I want to do is unify the country. We all need to work together, be bipartisan. Don't attack me. All I'm just trying to do is look out for the American people. And that commercial worked because, they polished his image up and everything. But people really know that Richard Nixon is a tricky person. He plays politics all the time, and so that's why they called him Tricky Dick, because he used that. He made a campaign ad saying he's nonpartisan. He wants to work together. Everybody should be kumbaya. Yet the reality spoke different about him. That's why he got the name Tricky Dick. The Philadelphia Plan. The Philadelphia Plan is this. It's like this happened under Richard Nixon, and it was obviously in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Plan is basically affirmative action in Philadelphia. What it is Richard Nixon was giving out government contracts. If you got a government contract, you had to hire minorities because minorities are in your city, and your employer or your employee, your place of business should reflect what the city looks like. So that's what the Philadelphia Plan is. If you want to get this government contract, you have to hire minorities. Otherwise, you're not going to get a government contract. So it's sort of like affirmative action. And a lot of the country was watching this because if this will work in Philadelphia, it could be applied elsewhere. So that's pretty much what that is. And like I said, that's all I have so far. I'm gonna send you the rest tonight. I'm gonna try to work on those essays tonight and send them to you, Demetria and Orlandis. If you have any questions, just hit me up. My throat is parched, so that's the reason why I sound kind of funny. If you still have some issues with the terms, let me know, and I'll define them for you in a better way. Otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much it. I think the test is pretty easy. Personally, I'm gonna send you guys a copy of the notes again. I'm gonna scan and send a copy of my index card, how I do things, and that's pretty much it. So always remember the year, put that in there because she wants to hear who, what, when, where, how, and why it's significant. It's important. And that's pretty much it. Just hit me up by email if you have any questions. Especially you, Dimitri. You hit me up all the time, so just hit me up. Okay. Otherwise, that's it. I think once I write the essay out, I think it'll be much easier if you saw the essay for you guys. So I'm gonna try to do that and send it to you tonight. I'm gonna make another video with the other half of the terms, and hopefully you guys can get it and pass, and you'll be good. Okay? Peace and love.